All right, so I'm just recording the push here now, and the rest is going to be recorded in Zoom, and then we should be good. All right, so let me share my screen then and the sound. And yeah, if there's anything wrong on your end, feel free to unmute yourself and let me know, right? Like Mario did. Cool, so now, can you see Ableton? How does it look? Yeah, you can read everything? Amazing. Good, so now, so then you didn't see anything how I set up the decent sampler and all of that? Great. So I start from the beginning. I just clapped so that I know for the the cutting of the video. Great. So what we did, we just installed Decent Sampler. Basically, like I had that in my downloads, and I was just going through the installation. That was all pretty normal on the Mac. And then in order to actually see it and use it in Ableton, you need to go to Live and then Settings. Do you see the pop-up window? Great. So then you need to go to plugins, right? And it might be that yours is still off. So what needs to be on is like audio unit 2 and 3. System folders VST2 needs to be on. Custom folder, no, we don't need that right now. System folder VST3, yes. And that's it, right? And in that moment, the moment you press that on, it should already scan your computer. And on the bottom left here, you should be able to see like names popping up. Like always on the bottom left, there's a tiny white text always explaining stuff or showing things that are happening in the background. So it should tell you like, oh yeah, like I'm scanning the plugins now, and those are the ones. And the moment that is done, you go to plugins here in the browser. You see where the plug is. And then there's this company called Decidedly. And there you find Decent Sampler. And I put that to my favorites already. So you can right click anything in the browser, like any instrument or like a plugin. You can give it a color, and then it shows up in your selections or collections here. And you could also rename that. I named that favorites. So this is like my quick access to everything that I use a lot, mostly synths and sample players. I have my effects extra. And I also have something extra for sound healing and sound journey. And then I have something for mixing and mastering. And we will set something up as well because we want to have a good workflow with the decent sampler and our sound healing instruments. So yeah, I go to faves and I go to decent sampler and I just drop it, right? And then here I click on the wrench icon and then it's asking me for a library location, right? So that's the next thing. Decent sampler in and of itself doesn't have any sounds, but it has an environment that is pretty easy to understand where people can create their own sample libraries. And they put it out for free, most of them. And that is super cool. So how do we get those libraries, right? So we get to a website and it's called Pianobook. It's called pianobook.co.uk. And here you go to sample packs and you see different categories, different sounds. But then at the bottom, you see decent sampler. So here you find all the instruments that decent sampler can play, right? And again, Pianobook is a community of musicians, of composers, of sound enthusiasts that home record their instruments in a sample manner. So you record everything note by note. Sometimes they process it with effect signals and things like that. And then they, program it in a way that you can play it within Ableton or like on a MIDI keyboard or something like that. And so in order to download these, you need also set up an account here. It's free. So you go to the Pianobook, you make an account, you need to log in, and then you can basically look for instruments or, like you can see like pianos, winds, strings, found sounds, pads and synths and stuff. And then you can click to someone and it shows you something. And then, like you click on that one, for example, Lumo acoustic guitars. Then there's a little description where it's, the people talk about the process or the intention and you can hear some demos. But then the important thing is you just download it, right? So you download Decent Sampler. this is the library that you download. And then that library goes somewhere. First, it probably goes into your downloads folder, right? Like this one here, like the kalimba or something like that. But then I put it onto my sample library. So I have an external hard drive and I have a sound library folder, and then I have a folder for Decent Sampler, and I put all the stuff in there, right? So everything I download, I put in there. And you see, like, for example, there's the zip file, right? So you can just put the zip file in there. So let's say, let's take this kalimba here, for example. I bring that over from my downloads folder, right? This is just a zip folder. I bring that over into libraries, right? Like here, and then into sound libraries, Decent Sampler. And so, right, it's called BioShock Kalimba. Now it's just there as a zip file. So then Decent Sampler is asking, okay, library location. So where is it, right? Then I can say shows location. And then I go to my libraries. I go to sound libraries, Decent Sampler. And then I open that, right? And now it knows, okay, so this is the spot where I find the instruments. So then you go to File, because you want to load an instrument, right? Now it's empty. So you go to Load. And then you can select, and the cool thing is you can just have the zip file, right? So I could now just select the BioShock Kalimba, open it, and it asks me, would you like to install this? I'm like, yes. And then takes a little moment, and you can even choose the preset. So that's the cool thing. Like, people get really creative, right? With this one, for example, they had a kalimba and they put that through this super expensive guitar pedal, which is awesome, you know, for ambient stuff. It has like all kinds of effects and delays and loops in there, and they just played it and then they recorded it, and note by note, and then we can now play it on the push. So, and the cool thing is, like with Decent Sampler, you can change the reference pitch, right? Because we obviously want to work in precise temperament tuning, which I already have set up. So if you look at the tuning here, it's already set up, right? I already have the tuning file, and you see the reference pitch is 432.08. It's actually 432.081, right? Which also adds up to 9, 8, and 1 adds up to 9, and this is 9. It's actually important, but it's not showing that here. It's still like accounting for it in the script. It just only has 2 decimals here, so don't worry about it. But if we now want to tune the Decent Sampler, because I can show you, like, I can put a tuner right behind here. And then I just arm this one for recording. And then I can play it with the push. Right now it's showing me, oh, it's off. And this is because it's still tuned to 440, A440. So I need to let Decent Sampler know, okay, go to tuning settings, right? I click on File and then tuning settings, and then remap A4 to a frequency. And that's the MIDI note, that's the A, that's the reference pitch, you see, and now it's like 440. But the cool thing is, you can do now 432.081. Amazing. And then I go, okay. And now, see, now we are spot on. Obviously, I mean, this is an effect thing, right? So that's, but you see, like, it starts in the green and then it gets modulated. So now we have tuned it, the precise temperament tuning. So yeah, and that's the process with all of them, right? And what I did is I collected all my favorites here, and I have this beautiful collection here in that live set, and I maybe, you know, did some tweaks, but I just want to show you my favorites. And basically, there's so much cool stuff that you actually don't need to buy anything, you know, throughout the course. We can have a look at that at some point. But we should be good with that, just that, because, and that's not even everything, that's just my favorites, right? And the cool thing is they update that pretty much weekly. So it's always good to check in again and see what's there. But yeah, so those are my favorites, right? So this BioShock Kalimba is just new. I just found out about that today. So I cannot tell you much about it. Let's start with that guitar, right? So this is called Lumo Acoustic Guitar. And you can see every device has its own like interface, right? And so what I did in the push right now, I changed the scale mode again. Let's see if I can once at least show you the push, and let's see how that looks. Yeah, you probably just see it's super small, right? But anyway, I go to scale mode. I'm going to do it for the video also. I go to scale mode, and then I am still in C, but then I choose major pentatonic. You know, and what happens with the pentatonic is it's just a 5-tone scale. So instead of 7 notes, or like even 12, if I would be chromatic, I am now just having 5 notes. And this is really cool for like melodies and stuff like that. Oh no, let's actually keep the push. So once you set it to pentatonic and you're still like in the, you know, in key mode, in chromatic, it looks like this. But in key mode, now this is all like a pentatonic scale. And this is really cool for playing melodies because it only has like, you know, the strong intervals. And this is where mostly when people play guitar solos or anything, you know, even kalimbas, like a lot of it is like pentatonic scale. So you can see this is how it looks, even if, you know, you don't see the details, but you're gonna see them on the video later. But basically, this is how the layout looks now in the pentatonic scale. And the cool thing is, like, we have all the octaves, right? And yeah, let's just listen to the guitar. It's more like an ambient guitar kind of pad, and I start in a low octave just with the root note, right? An octave higher. An octave lower. Right, I like the low octave here. I would use it as a drone. That's a pretty cosmic drone, you know? Like if I would do something about like crown or third eye or something like that, something cosmic, I would use that. So, right, this is just an example. And I like organic soundscapes, and that's what I love about like Decent Sampler is like it's all organic soundscapes, and people like are really creative the way that they process it. So those instruments are super unique. You know, like you don't get something like that anywhere else. So you also have like super unique sounds and textures. So that's just one example, right? So then let's look at the next one. It's called Family Piano Pads. And by the way, let me actually put the link here so that you can download the ones that you like. Also, I have, oh no, I have a PDF already. I can just put that in the chat actually. Okay, Kath was asking something. So does Ableton tell the plugin to use precise temperament? Yeah, so the thing is, Ableton internal instruments, they understand that, but other instruments, you know, third-party instruments, they don't get that. So you need to tell them tune A to 432.081 hertz, and then they get it. But by default, they don't have 432, so always you need to retune from 432 in whatever settings you have. Like the good ones, the good plugins have some kind of tuning setting where you can set the reference pitch from 440 to 432.081 hertz. Okay, so let's put that your computer. Ah, yeah, here. So that is the list with the links and everything. Right, here's a decent sampler again. Here's the super awesome, super Valhalla Supermassive that I'm going to show you. It's a free reverb and delay plugin. And then here are all the instruments that are in the template. So you can just look and download them. And so, right, if you feel like you want to use your time already for that, feel free. Here's the list. So now we had the piano pads. And again, see, like usually you would use the piano to play a melody, but now we have it to play pads again, right? So just like, and the cool thing is you have different layers here on this one, right? So you can blend it in. So I invite you to always play a little bit around and get yourself familiar with the interface. Like it's up to the people who create those instruments, what shows up here in the controls, right? most of the time you have a reverb and a tone, like tone is just brightness and darkness. Like if you go back on the tone, it gets darker or disappears completely. What? Why don't we hear anything? Too high? Oh yeah, I turned on the volume of all the pads. That's fine. So those are different layers, right? And if I bring down the tone, you see how it gets darker? And if I bring up the tone, it gets brighter. And then you have pad 1 and pad 2 and pad 3, and you can dial that in and just play. You know, and this is a very nice kind of dreamy, lush pad sound, which I like a lot. And if you wanted, you know, to make it more interesting, what you can do is, I did that later in other instruments also, but you can map all those parameters here, right? So you can create your own instrument. Also, you know, now that the tuning has been changed, it's a good idea to actually save it. So let's go through the process one by one. So now I'm creating my own instrument preset within Ableton so that I can bring it up whenever I want to. And that is also saved the way that I set it up, but also that I can access all the controls with the push, right? So I will go now here on that decent sampler, and then I do Command G. This groups it and creates an instrument rig, right? So now I have the decent sampler here. And what it allows me is I have the macros here. And those are slots that I can map to parameters here. And then I can control it on the push. So, but right now there's nothing here, right? If you want to see the parameters, you go back to the plugin, Decent Sampler, and then you can open that up here on that triangle, right? And by default, there's already main tuning and main volume, and you see that already showing up on the push. But we want to have more. So we go on configure here, right? And you see it turns green. And now let's configure pad 1 and pad 2 and 3. And then maybe the reverb and the tone and the attack and the release, right? So now you see they're all there. And now I can click on configure again. And now I can map that to the macros, right? If I would be on the, for some reason, my push is weird, it's turning on and off the display. The power on, yeah. See that, how the push, like the display goes on and off on my push? Gonna just turn it off and hope Ableton's not crashing. Yeah, nice, okay. Might be a bit overheated, it's super hot here. And I've been on this in the studio already since the morning. Okay, so while the push is booting, all the parameters can be mapped now here to the macros, right? We have 8. We can have more, but I would leave it to 8. So if I go plus, right, I can have more up to 16. But it gets a bit messy, and you know, with the push having only 8 encoders, 8 is fine. Like that's a lot of control. So I leave it at 8, and let's make some decisions now. So the first pad want to be on macro 1. So I right click on that parameter, right? And then I map it to macro 1. The second pad, I right click and map it to macro 2. The third pad, map to macro 3. You see how it's like showing up here? You could change the name. Like if that pad actually were something specific, I could rename that, you know, a low, mid, high, or any different instruments or something. But for now, it's just pads. So we have those 3 pads. The next thing is I would like to have the reverb on the number 4. And then, so we have that, the reverb. So then I would like the attack and the release, because this is a lot of sound shaping. So that on the 5 and then on the 6 is the release. And what that means, the attack and release is really important. And we will get into that once it's done mapping. And I don't know, my push is weird. It's not showing anything. Yeah, so then we have two left, right? So we can choose the tone that I want at the end. And so maybe the main volume on 7, right? Yeah, and if I push would be working, I could show you how to control this on the push. Maybe I just need to unplug it. You know that the electromagnetic field is flipping right now, right? And electronics are being affected. I don't want to use it as an excuse, but we are in very delicate, energetic times with lots of solar storms. And in the equinox, something just happened with the electromagnetic field, according to Stefan Burns, the geophysicist. And that might affect the electricity. I don't know, like the push never did that before. But I guess we just have to wait and see if he wants to cooperate or not. Doesn't look like it. It's just blinking. Well, maybe it died. I don't know. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, so yeah, I don't know. If the push is not going to work, then there's another way to show you those instruments by pressing this here, the key. No, sorry, this keyboard. And this turns my computer keyboard into a MIDI keyboard, right? So, you know, worst comes worst. And if this happens to you on stage, this can happen, right? Imagine you're at a festival now or like whatever, like, you know, in the yoga place and your push stops working. You're like, fuck, what am I gonna do? And then it's like, yeah, now you need to play with your computer. So, you know, it's like from A to L, like all those, like A, S, D, F, G, H, J, K, L. Those are all the white notes. And the ones on top are the black notes, the way that they are laid out in the piano, right? But because I'm playing in C major, I'm only using um, I'm only using the line from A to L, which is only the white notes. So if I now press A, I'm playing a C. We could check that also if I created a MIDI clip. I'm playing a C now, right? And it's a C3. And if I want to go lower, I can press my Y key and just watch here the bottom left, how it says if I press Y, it says like, oh, your current octave is now C2, right? So if I play it now, the same A on my keyboard, see I'm now playing a C2. I could go an octave lower, press Y again, and now my current octave is C1. So I press A again, just A, the letter A on my keyboard, which I could probably show you like this. Right, I'm just pressing A, and I can go up again, press X, octave higher, press X, an octave higher, right? And then I can just play like this. And if I wanted to play a chord, for example, right, like a C major, I would just go C, E, E. Oh, the push is back. But the display is still like funky. I don't know. I guess I can still like play on the push at least. Yeah, I can still play on the push. But now you know how you could play on the keyboard, and you know this happened to me also sometimes. you need to just improvise, and then you just play like this, which is cool. Like you can totally play ambient chords, like you can just need to be careful with the octaves. So ideally you just loop stuff, right? But we don't get into looping right now. So we just keep playing with the push that has a funky display. So now if I go to the instrument rack on the push, you see I have the pads, and everything. Is it still working even if it's not? Yeah, you see how like I'm dialing the first one? So I can now dial in basically everything, right? So right now I'm just pressing a chord and then I can bring in one sound. So this is how pad 1 sounds. This is how pad 2 sounds. Pad 3, right? So you could start with pad 3, play that for a bit. And then you bring in pad 2 a little bit. And then pad 1. Oh, that's pretty bright. I don't want too much of that. Now let's add some reverb. Like splosh it out. Right? And let's go an octave lower. Right? And then let's experiment with the tone knob, which is what, number 8, right? So we can make it brighter if the tone is all the way up. You hear that more on high octaves. And also if we have more brightness from pad 1. Wow, but you feel this expressivity? It's pretty crazy, right? Like how dramatic it changes when I bring in pad 1. Well, that's pretty cool. It gives me a lot of control. And then, so let's have a look at attack and release. So usually there's 4, like there's attack, decay, sustain, and release. You find that on every synthesizer, and it's a way that the signal behaves once a note is pressed, like a MIDI note, right? If I play a note on the push or on the keyboard, this, what we call envelope, starts to happen. The attack is the moment from where I push to the moment where it's at the sustain value, right? So we just have attack and release. So if I increase the attack, if it's like super long right now, it should take the note longer to come in. See? Like now, it waits a little bit. Like I pressed it already, but it's coming in later. And if I dial it back, it comes right away. See? It comes right away. So if I want to have a pad sound, which is more evolving, which is, smoothing in and smoothing out, I want a long attack so that it's actually having this swell moment, right? So, but then there's also release. And release is the moment I let go of the note on my controller, how long the sound keeps going, right? And this depends a little bit on the recording, how much release there is, right? So first, let's have a super long release and a long attack. That's a classical pad style, or like a pad setup, a long attack and long release. So I'm just gonna play this now. And I let go. And you hear, it's still trickling. The release is still there. And that's nice. So this gives me space to go from one to the next, right? And it still like trickles a little bit, so it fills the space nicely. I like that. But if I make the release like super short and the attack super short, like, see that? Then it's like this, just. Also good for something, but not good for pets, right? So, but like, I hope you get the idea, like how powerful that is, that I can control the sounds, right? I could just play a chord again, like just record one. Let's just, this already armed for recording, so we'll just record this and just play a little sequence. I don't know why it was just overriding it. What's the fixed length on? Let me just check on the push if the fixed length is on. Oh, it's not even showing that. Oh yeah, I was on about 32 bars. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why I just recorded for 1 bar. That's way too short. Let's do it again. I think my push is just going crazy. I think it's just sending signals, you know, that are not supposed to be sent, at least not my intention. Right, let's say I have this, and then it loops because I just hit record. And now I can go into the device mode and I can totally dial it in, right? Imagine I'm in a live scenario and I have now full control over how immersive everything is. Like, let's just increase the release and the attack again so that we have more of a pad sound. Right, and now I bring in the volume. Oh, well, that's not the one that I start with. I start with the 3. Right, gently with the 3. Bring the tone also back, like have it super dark at the beginning so we can brighten it up later. Oh, the tone is too low right now. If it's at 0, I don't think it's playing anything, right? So we need to be careful, have it on a low value. A lot of reverb. Long release. I want a longer release even, you see, because at the loop here, there's a little bit, oh, it's also 5 bars long. So I'm gonna make that 4 bars long. See, the length here is 5. Just gonna change that to 4. You can also do that in the push in clip mode. If it would be showing the clip, you see, like, here's the loop length, right? I recorded it at 5, but I can just dial it in back to 4. So then it's looping nicely. So yeah, and then I have like full control and I can really take my time to make it really immersive. Right, and just dial the things in and whatever I feel in that moment, create this journey, just with this instrument. So this was just an idea. I want to show you some really awesome instruments. This is not even like the best ones. I just wanted to give you an idea because later you will see that a lot, that I did this, and then you have an understanding how I got to the point. But let's say, we like that and we want to keep it. So I can now rename that into, piano pad, whatever, 432 PTT. And I can save that preset now. I can go here, preset, like on that disk symbol. And then it's saving that. And I can, like, it's going automatically into the user library, into the presets, right? And there's a preset for instruments and for instruments recs, right? So it's going to be in the instrument rec preset. See, now here it is. Within that, I created my own folder called Sound Journeys. So I could move that in there, right? If you just right click, new folder, and then you make it whatever, sound journey folder or sound healing folder. And then I can just take this now, put it in here into sound journeys, right? And 432 Hertz. And there it is. So then, see, now the piano pad is here. So I could now take that whenever I wanted to. And into any project, not just this one, right? It's now on the browser, it's now saved. And the cool thing is also, like, if you want to work with the tags, you see, can we see the tags here? So if I right click, what's that? Yeah, so if I want to add tags, right? I could say like dreamy, pad, ambient, anything. And it would just add those tags. And then I can search for something like that. I can search for ambient in here, right? And then I find Okay, let's go to actually instruments. Right, whatever you look and whatever you have tagged, you can find. And you can find your own system of tagging. You know, I have something like rude and earthy and dreamy, ethereal, crown. So like all the things that kind of make sense. And then I tag them. And if I'm in a live setting and I'm like, oh shit, I need something more grounding, then I'm just typing in like rude or something like that. And then all those instruments show up, right? So if I go here, for example, um, well, yeah, it's probably here in my sound journeys. Oh, sound healing. Right. And then here I have all the, if I look at the tags, open tag editor, right? And then you can see you have all those tags here and you can add that, right? So if I have a magic kalimba, I could say like, oh yeah, that's ambience and effects, that's ethereal, that's spacious. Now maybe that's a lead, maybe that's a mullet, right? And all of these. And again, if I search for that, then it will show up, right? So that's a good way to organize sounds. And yeah, you can, find your own tags. You can just click on the add tag symbol here, and then you can create something, right? So let's say like root chakra, for example, right? And then you could tag anything that is root chakra style. You can tag that, and then it shows up when you search for root chakra here in the search bar in your instruments, right? So that's really cool. If you need to pull up things on the fly, and if you just, create a selection over time, to be able to just pull things up, like from the browser right into the set and then start playing, right? If somebody asks you for a certain vibe, or you feel you look for a certain vibe, but it's not in here, or you don't want to have like your super cluttered like this, that's obviously way too much, right? But it's just to show you my favorites. Okay, so that was the piano pads. Ah, yeah, and one thing I wanted to show you also, now that we have that, we can create snapshots, right? So we can have dial in certain sounds. Let's say, we have this and we like that, that's a certain vibe. So then I can click on that snapshot here, which then I can click new. And this has saved this variation, right? And I could say like, could rename this like subtle dark or something like that. And now let's create a new setting, more bright. Right, and I could click new again. And I could name that bright, for example. You can obviously be more creative. So now I have the bright. And I can now click on subtle dark. Whoop, and you see how it's going back to the settings before. Right, so now it's more dark. So like you can dial in your favorite sounds and create your own presets this way. Obviously you need to save it again now because this came new, right? So I need to click the save symbol again. I could give it a new name and say like edit presets or something, but I'm not going to do that. Right, so now that's the one that has the presets in there. So that's a really cool way to even get more use out of the sounds. And sometimes you're just in a creative mood and you dial in something super nice and you just want to keep it, right? And that's a very easy way to do that by creating those snapshots here. So it's that camera symbol, click on it and you dial something in, and then you click on new and it will just capture that and create a new opportunity for you to dial something in. Okay, so let's keep going. Some more cool instruments. So the next one is called Octave Cascade. And I already added some reverb on there. So let's turn that off here. So this is very dreamy. It's like you play a piano. So I play one note right now, but it adds those beautiful, ornaments on top. And again, I dialed it in like a little bit here, right? You can play with those values. But what's really important in this case is the reverbs, right? So if you see, like if I turn them off, like out of the box, it sounds like this. Nice, right? Very dry though. And it might make sense, but I love it like sloshy and reverbery, right? So the first thing I did, I was putting in the Presencia Hall, and those reverbs are the hybrid reverbs. And the thing is with the hybrid reverbs, they come with standard. I don't think they come with light, or maybe they just come with suit. I hope they come with standard, and if not, you need to use the other reverb, you know, this one, which is also okay. Then I would probably take Warm Reverb Long, which is one of my favorites here. You go to the presets, probably this one. But if you have access to the hybrid reverb, it's way better. So it's here, and there's all kinds of presets, and I just selected the Presenza Hall here, which is a special hall. So a hybrid reverb is a mix between, now we're already getting a little bit into effects. We're gonna go way deeper into reverb in the effects section, but basically there's two types of reverbs, you know? One is algorithmic, like emulating how sound behaves in a room based on algorithms. But then another type of reverb is called convolution reverb, where people go in actual physical spaces with a microphone and they record a sound there and they create an algorithm based on the characteristics of that space, right? And so in this way, the hybrid reverb is a mix. You can see it has a convolution impulse response. So it's actually from a cathedral, wherever that is, I guess in France, probably Cathedral Beauvoir or Beauvais. So that's actually, you know, that actual space. So now that piano is actually happening in that space based on how we dial it in. And you know, this is a blend between a convolution reverb and an algorithmic reverb. So it has two reverb sides. That's why it's called hybrid reverb. It's combining, it's hybridizing the approach of convolution reverb and algorithmic reverb, and you can blend them in here. So basically you have like two types of reverbs, but I love the preset as is, and I was just dialing the dry wet. It always comes with 100% wet, which is a bit too much. So I dialed it in 48. So let's now listen to that. Right, already sounds nice. So now it's in that space, right? Gives it a bit more context. And I know it's probably pretty quiet, but that's also the intimacy of that sound, right? But we could boost it a little bit just so that you hear it better. So I'm just gonna put a utility, increase the gain, maybe 9 decibels. So now it's 9 decibels louder on the exit, right? So wow, that's such a beautiful reverb. And if you turn that off, right? Ooh, it's very dry. But it's actually good that they leave it so dry for us so we can choose, right? If they would have chosen a specific reverb, then it's only that reverb, right? But we get it dry, so it's up to us to put it into a space and make it sound like this, for example, right? So that is really cool already on its own, very intimate, and it has a certain vibe, right? So I could close my eyes and imagine I'm sitting in that cathedral and somebody's playing piano, and I could layer in all kinds of sounds, maybe some birds or something, and that's beautiful. And I can just noodle on my push, right? And just play some notes, right? I'm just going. And because it's set to pentatonic, it's all always in key and always in scale. And yeah, and I can just flow. But then I thought, oh, it would be nice to make it even more shimmery. And there's another of my favorite reverb presets. It's called Large Shimmer Plate, which basically creates a copy of the signal and pitches it up. So now, and you can set the pitch, and I set the pitch to 7 semitones. So now it's like a fifth on top, right? So you have the original signal, but then it's copying it and pitching it up and blending it in a nice way. And this creates a shimmer effect. So now, oh, you see how we have this beautiful sparkle on top? Ooh, so now it's perfect. And you don't need anything else. You just need that, you know, that's all you need. It's taking up all the space super nicely. Even on the low end, it sounds nice. Ooh. And you can just jam like this forever, you know, and you have an ambient masterpiece. Right? So that's super cool. Like reverb is amazing. Again, I turned that off. Nice, right? And I also turn the hall off and just turn on the shimmer plate so you hear the difference. So now this is just shimmer plate. Also nice, right? But I like the depth that it gets from that hall. And that's usually what I do. I do first, I place it into a space, an actual space, like, like a convolution impulse response, so that it's actually feeling like, oh, this is happening in that space. And then I do some more, cosmetic things or like shimmering it up a little bit. So with that together, it has the depth and the beauty. And that's for me, wow, such a beautiful thing. I could play this the whole day. Right, so that's your beautiful piano. So let's definitely, right, so now we have all that. Let's turn that into an instrument because I want to play that in the next sound journey. So I click on that one, highlight it, and then I go all the way to the end. And I hold Shift, right? So now they're all selected. Now I can hit Command G, and it creates, again, it groups it and it creates an instrument rack, right? So I click here. Anybody has an idea for the name of that? Like let's put the name ideas in the chat for that instrument, and then we will pick one and name it like that. Blissy. Yeah, I like that. That's cool, Kat. Definitely. It's super blissy. Okay, let's call it Blissy. So, and then that I also know what it is, and it's like cascading, piano, dream. Right? Something like that. Beautiful. And then I just save it like this, and I put it into my, oh, I don't even have a piano yet, right? It's Atmo pad though. Okay, put it into Atmo pads and then give it a tag of a piano. So we go to Blissy. We could say like, oh yeah, it's definitely a piano. It's cinematic cosmic. No, it's dreamy for sure. It's definitely evolving. Could be a bit watery if we wanted to, but no, that's fine for now. Definitely for 32 precise temperament. Great. Right. So, wow, I love this one. And it keeps just getting better from now on. So let's keep going. So the next one, Zoom is in the way, get out of the way. Okay, so that is not that amazing, but a kalimba is always good to have. So that's David's kalimba, just like a little, right? Always good to have a kalimba, but I don't gonna spend too much time on that right now because there's way more awesome stuff. So then there's the ambient pad, which, yeah, it's just doing what the name is suggesting. I just put a pitch on here, which is a MIDI effect, which is, if I play a note here, because I want to go lower than the push allows me without changing the octave. So I can go to MIDI effects. Here in the browser, I go to MIDI effects, and then there's something called pitch, and you have +12, -12, +24. And so what happens now, I press a note and it's playing even a low note below that, right? So that I get even lower than that. So, but now I'm too low, right? Yeah. Right. And again, this is just a very nice drone. I love the reverb. And you can also play it in higher registers. But I like it for the drone. Right? That's just a nice drone. Okay, let's keep going. So this one is really cool. It's like, this is a good example of how creative people get on Pianobook. So, and also look at the design. Like some people, they really go all in on the design. And this is called Harmonic Constellations. And there's a certain preset, and I dialed that in, right? So it's called Leo preset, but I made some adjustments. So, if yours doesn't sound like right like that, I'm just gonna group it now, and I could maybe send you the preset. Oh yeah, and you see this time I have 2 plus 12 because now I wanted to play higher. And I have actually two versions of it. And basically I'm changing the algorithm here. So what it was doing is like sampling different instruments, like each of those constellations has a certain sound. I'm just curious about the kalimba and about the processing here. So that's why you see just Leo has some sound. All the other ones are not even playing, you know, that's a whole nother thing you can explore. Like there's all kinds of presets in here. But I like the way that I've set it up right now. Sounds like this. Right, it's very watery. It's a kalimba, again, processed through something. Probably one of those fancy guitar pedals. And just keeps this super nice, watery, cosmic. Right? You can just play around with it. Super cool. So that's one. And then there's another one. It's the same instrument, it's just a different setting. It's probably just the Milky Way is different. And then I maybe change the reverb. Oh yeah, the drive. It's a little bit of saturation in here as well. So the second one sounds like this. Right, it's a little bit more moving around. If you have headphones, you can hear how immersive that is, right? You know, and those also work really well, just one note. And another, it's more sparse, depending on the vibe, right? Now we are more cosmic. Yeah, and that totally brings me into outer space. So I really like that one. This one is just, you know, like if you want to have some textures, because, you know, why not? This is all kinds of percussion sampled, but what I did is I put the tuning down to -12. I like it an octave lower, so you can do that. You can also change the pitch of the recordings. So now everything that is played here is an octave lower. So let's listen. Right, so the drum is now like super low, but I like more the shakers, so let's see if I can find them. Or like the Udo is also nice. So each note basically has, yeah, here. Yeah, these guys. Right, if you just want some textures, there's now some reverb and some delay. You can also turn that off. Now very dry, sounds like this. But I just put it down an octave here on the tune, right? If you go back to 0, this is how it originally sounded. A bit too bright for me. I don't like it so much. And if you go down, it all of a sudden gets way more atmospheric, especially with some reverb, some delay. Right? This is just a nice little texture of a shaker that you can weave into your journey. You know, record something. Just in general, it's just like a lot of cool selection of all kinds of percussions. Right, so that's why I included it in here. Okay, so now we get to the choirs. There's also some really cool things. Again, people getting like super creative with layering the voices, you know, from friends and stuff like that. So you always get this human feel here that you don't get in a polished library, right? So that's the thing, like with Decent Sampler, it's like, there's actually all like, people don't do it for the money, they do it for the passion. I'm not saying that the people who do it for the money, not doing it for the passion, but these guys, they don't charge, right? They just do it because they love it. They love the idea that people use what they've created. So this sounds like this. Right, again, I like the lower registers, which just use it as a drone. But I definitely love like vocal drones. right? Ooh, that's a nice interval. Dang, yeah, I could just record that as a drone, right? This could be my opening. Yeah, and maybe I dialed it in a little bit. It probably comes in, like you see, I took a lot of the brightness out, took a lot full on reverb, a lot of release. It might come a little different when you open it up. So again, play around and dial things in. Okay, but yeah, there's a lot more, so I need to speed up a little bit because there's some really cool ones at the end, especially for sound healing. So then this is the quiet choir. Also nice, different vibe, right? Like more mysterious, more laid back. And again, like you see, I dialed all the tone completely out. So that it sounds like super dull in a way, but not really dull, but more like in the background, right? If I would crank up the tone. See, it gets more texture. So I brought it all the way down and a lot of reverb again and full on release. I like subtlety sometimes. And this is just very subtle, as it says, quiet, right? So if you are like in a deep journey already, like in the middle of your journey, you don't want, like a epic choir blasting like in a church or something. You want something like this, because you're so deep in that this is maybe supportive, but it's not taking you out. So I like it for that, when you're already like in the middle of the journey and you navigate people through some spaces that are more liminal. Quiet is great for that. Okay, so this one is really cool. It's a bit more like magical, mystical kind of thing, but yeah, it's called the Spell Slinger. And he just layered all those different sounds and sounds like this. And then you get all those. Right, so this is a little bit specific. But if you put a bunch of reverb on there, for me that's too dry right now, but let's put in like a nice reverb on there. Maybe a concert hall. This is now just a normal reverb, not a what do you call it? Not a hybrid reverb. So I'm gonna dial in the dry wet a little bit back. Well, it could even be more reverb. Or make it longer. That's not long enough. Let's make it like 6 seconds or something. Right? It gives a certain vibe. Could almost be angelic. But you need to be careful, but it's definitely setting a vibe that is very unique and maybe in some context you can just layer that, you don't need to play like all the notes that like I did. You can just have this layered into a pad and this gives a nice, and we will get into layering later in a future class. But yeah, those are just like really nice textures and atmospheres, and again, like human voices, like a lot in general. Okay, so let's keep going. This is the Enigma pad, also made of human voices. Pretty cool. Especially in higher registers. Again, like more subtle. Maybe you don't hear it so good. It's pretty low on volume. My headphones are pretty loud. But yeah, that's from the Some Voices instrument, and that's the preset Enigma that I dialed in a little bit. But I just love the, yeah, kind of ethereal, outerworldly touch of it. Again, it could just be a layer. It's definitely creating this kind of celestial or cosmic vibe, right? Okay, now we get to the wind instruments. Of course, like we need flutes. So now we have the duduk. So the duduk is an Armenian flute, and that sounds really interesting the way that they sampled that one. Again, I put it lower because I like the low drones of flutes, right? I really like to pitch the flutes down and create drones with that. So let's see how that sounds. You can see pitch is already -12 here, right? So let's see. Oh no, it's not. Right? Like this. This is all the texture. And this is no reverb at all, right? If I bring in the reverb now. Ooh, super nice. Again, like a certain vibe, right? And then if you go higher, it sounds like an actual duduk. Oh wow, it's already out of the range here. I actually just like it for the low drones. But there could be even more reverb. Like I would put a lot of reverb on there to make it like really cosmic. Then it sounds more like the cosmic arm or something like that. So let's go to the hybrid reverb again. And let's find something super nice. Yeah, a large octave shimmer, for example. And so this will even pitch it down an octave more. Well, that's going to be interesting. Let's see how that's going to sound. Oh yeah, that's a bit too distorted. Maybe that's also too much. So actually just bring it down a fifth. So I go to -7. Yeah, it gets close to distorting, so we need to be careful with the volume. Probably I need to turn the volume down. Which, oh, they didn't put the volume. Can I put it down here? No. Well, that's unfortunate. There's no volume dial here, so you have to put in a utility again to bring the volume down. But it's important, like if it's distorting, that's the last thing. Then you want digital distortion. It sounds terrible, so I'm gonna put -6. See now. Still distorting because it's coming out of the thing, so I need to put it before the reverb. I don't know. Maybe some chorus. Oh yeah, see, sometimes the subtle things are definitely better. This is super subtle now. Now I can actually turn off the -6. But this is just a nice low-end drum made out of a flute, right? So that's the thing, like for everything I do, I like to use organic soundscapes because, yeah, you have a certain character that you don't find in a synth. I'm not against synths at all. I love synths as well, but in general, for those kind of things, I like organic soundscapes. So here we have a flute and a violin, interesting combination. See how that sounds? Now it's more orchestral. So that is a specific vibe. I just thought it's an interesting combination. Probably not my first choice. Like orchestral vibes are pretty suggestive. Like almost makes you feel like you're in a movie or something like that. So then you have a classical native flute. And the cool thing is with the push, you can get creative again with what's it called? The pitch wheel. Right, I like the trill, so you play one note, and then you just go, you tap on the thing here. Right, so for no trills, it's really cool to have that thing and just tap it. And this one is really cool for flute drones as well. I think I used that one in the shamanic template. So let's just see, it's called Misty Flutes. Oh, I'm way too low. Oh yeah, see, I turned that one down 22 semitones, so 2 octaves lower, because this one starts at C4, but I really like the breathiness. You know, like, wow, this is pretty cool. Again, more for shamanic stuff, but for that, I really love it. Especially the breath that comes in at the beginning. Right? That's very specific vibe, but pretty cool. For shamanic things, especially the low drone, very earthy. I would put that into a root chakra journey. And then there's another one. They also made pads. So this was just one preset that I pitched down 2 octaves, but then there's a pad also from the same instrument. So there's like presets, right? See how that sounds. Also really nice. For pads, right? And I think, let's see if the filter is actually mapped to the mod wheel here. Oh, no, it's not. Dang, I missed out on an opportunity. So I could map the filter, right, and give it more expressivity. Obviously, if I open the filter, the brighter it gets, right? Yeah, so you get a lot of expressivity out of the filter here. So I would probably just map that. Just go here, configure, now map the frequency. What? It's not possible? Oh, okay, interesting. Maybe like this is one of the super first ones. Maybe they didn't have that opportunity back then. Oh, that's sad. And I have to have my own filter. So what I can do instead is I go here, go to auto effects. You know, we already know the auto filter, right? So I'm just gonna take it from here. Put the auto filter directly there. And the cool thing is I can also create a effect rack with that, right? So I shift click, Command G, and now I can map the filter frequency. Okay, thank you, man. Then I map the filter frequency just to the macro one, right? And then I can just control it like that. So right, so now the Ableton filter is doing it. Obviously, I need to bring that back up so that we're super bright on there. See how I have the same thing now with the Ableton filter. Yeah, I really like that flute sound. Beautiful flute pad. So then we have an E-bow, which I also always like, you know, for ambient textures. It's from the pack Native Flutes and E-bows. The Native Flute is also out of that pack, but now it's like just the E-bow, less fundamental, fast attack preset. Right? And if you keep it longer, like it gets all those nice textures, which I think are super meditative. And I could just keep holding that. Very intimate. Very focused. Right? Sometimes that's all you need. Yeah, I like this one a lot. And then, so then here's another one. It's called Hove flute, which is kind of a pan flute. I also like low octave pan flutes. So as you can see, I turned that one down, minus 24 semitones, so 2 octaves. Let's see how that sounds. Right? Wow, I love this low. Definitely, this one I probably also used in the down tempo shamanico template or something. Just a really cool low drone pan flute. Sounds also good in the upper registers. I love pan flute drones. Right, super cool. For some reason, they also included a glockenspiel in there. So that is also from there. Okay, so the power just cut. I don't know if we're still on or not.
We can hear you.
Hi, you can hear me? Okay, great. Well, that was a brief power cut that didn't even affect the internet. Amazing. Okay, let me check the chat here. What happened? Can you send us the presets? Yeah, they're in the attachment. Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, the presets, exactly. Spaceship energies. Okay, cool. Yeah. So let's go back to sharing. So yeah, there's this Glockenspiel also. See how that sounds. It's nice that it's not just so percussive. And again, you see like the tone is dialed super back, a lot of reverb again. And I also turned it down minus 22. So it gives it more like this big chime sound. Right? Like originally, if you put it back to 0, it sounds like this. Wow, pretty bright, not so nice. Unless you want something like that, but I would definitely shimmer it up. Let's see what happens if I put on the shimmer. I'm just curious. But large shimmer plate. And yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, way better. Everything is better with shimmer. Right? But I actually like it for its low chime thing. So I bring it down minus 24 again. And then it also plays longer because the sample is stretched. Right? And then it sounds more like a bell. And I like this. You could also like dial in the frequency, right? You could like check and play like an actual healing frequency, like 128. Where is that? Was it here? Oh, it's out of the range. And now. And we cannot go lower than that, right? Oh, we can. Nice. Ooh, here's it. Yeah, again, I would just play those like not as a melody, but just, you know, as a vibe, like as an information. You can use that as carryways for your intention. You can project something into it. This one I like a lot. Right? Obviously, you would not want to play that on your own or put it into some kind of context, but I just love somehow the vibe of it, especially if it's pitched so low. Okay, so now I'm getting to the cool stuff. Now we're getting to the actual sound healing instruments, you know, like actual singing bowls. There's a bunch. So this one is called Singing Bowl Pad. And looks like this, and let's see how it sounds. yeah, so this is just like a nice so it's also velocity sensitive, right? If I press a note harder on the push, it's gonna play louder, which is cool. So then you can play expressively, right? As long as you play it live, the bolts will never have the same intensity, so it gives that human feel. And I love that we can go up the octaves. I mean, imagine how many bolt sets you would have with you, you know, to do that live. So this is one of my favorites. I play that all the time. You know, at the beginning or at the end of sessions or in the middle, depending on. You can go so high. It sounds still amazing, right? So that's really cool. Like that one a lot. And then obviously we also have the hits, which again, you just need to dial in the attack and the release. So you make the attack short and the release short, and you have more like a hit sound, right? Super nice how low you can go here. Yeah, I mean, fantastic Tibetan bowl. Amazing. So then this one is also really cool. It's from a pack called Himalayan Vibes. And this is a drone, overtone singing. And again, I would just play one note. The volume is a bit low. Right, but it sounds super nice on that lower octave. More reverb. Nice, yeah, with more reverb. And then changing the tone a bit. You know, some instruments are just good for one thing, and that's just a good drone. So that's all, whenever you're looking for like an overtone singing drone, that's, you know, that's the way to go. That's, I think, is super solid, and there's definitely a lot of use cases for that in sound healing. So then we have Tibetan bowls from the same set. So another set of bowls, but different character than the other one. And I like to play sustained notes on these, right? So I want to keep it going. And I always have like one drone, and then I play other notes, right? While the drone keeps playing. So you could imagine like you play a set, right? Like one finger is for the low, one finger is for the mid, right? And you keep it going like a harmonium almost. So before it goes out, you play the note again. And then you play the higher ones with the other hand. Right, and this gets super hypnotic. Beautiful. And it keeps you busy. You see how I'm always like pressing the buttons here all the time. So I'm like super engaged while I'm vibing at the same time. So yeah, those are like really all my favorites are coming now. Just like I just showed you some cool stuff at the beginning, but now all my favorites are coming. So then there's another one, which is super cool. Like I dialed that in also really nicely, especially in the higher octaves. It's with a leather mallet, another bowl from another guy, but you see like this is the settings here, a little bit of chorus, the tone is halfway, a lot of release, and sounds like this. And I like to play like you know, or just like going around, you know, like we call these like a crystal harp or something like. It's super celestial. Oh my God, sounds incredible. Right, and can just go fly around on the push. Sounds amazing every time, no matter what you hit. So again, this is a beautiful tapestry for your prayers. You know, you can just be super connected to coherence and your higher self and your guides and angels, and just, yeah, bring on the healing energy, you know, infuse us all the light, and just keep going. Be playful, you know, it's just like, doesn't really matter. It sounds all fantastic. Right, so wow, that's one of my favorites. You see, it's 144. Here we have the light code straight there. So yeah, that one is really cool. And then there's another one, another ball. See how that sounds. You see, I pitched it down an octave here. And here you have a little bit of organic vibes, right? You hear a little bit like how the mallet is scraping, which is cool. If you want more of that, you can bring up the tone. Right? But I don't like the mallet scraping so much, so I bring the tone back always. And I love, you know, to play intervals. It's nice also to just play one, but also don't play too many at the same time, because then the overtones clash. But if you have like one and another, like a second note, maybe a fifth. Ooh, super nice how they're interacting with each other. Even sounds nice in the higher registers. You need to be careful a little bit with the resonances. I would probably put an EQ on there to take care of those harshness resonances there. Ooh, but super nice. Hey, so good. All for free. Okay, and here's one with the mallet. And you see, I had to tune that a bit, I thought, but then I didn't have to in the end. But that's why the shifter is here. Let's see. Oh yeah, see, I do have to tune it actually. Depends. So that is the same bowl, right? Just recorded with the hit. The other one was just, you know, with the mallet, like going around the bowl, and this is the hits, same instrument. And if you see something, see like, oh, like this is like 14 off or something, then I could go take the shifter, which I find in the audio effects. Here, shifter, and then you can retune it in the sense, right? So we're showing me it's 15 cents off. So I can say, okay, and go 15 cents up here. See, but then you need to be careful. No. You know, because the cheaper bowls sometimes, and I'm not gonna say that this is a cheaper bowl, but there is differences in bowl makers, and some are a bit more accurate on the cent values, like they really dial it in, and some are a little bit, you know, 10 cents more or less, doesn't matter, but it for the tuner it does, and I like to be precise, obviously. So that's why I like to then, if I see if the tuner shows me there's a discrepancy, and I try to balance it out with the shifter. Great. So, oh, that one is also really cool. The bowl swan. Yeah, that is a specific way of processing the bowls. Right? It's just like having this kind of note repeat thing. Which, yeah, gives nice texture. It's super nice to play with on a low drone on top or something. It's just like a smaller ball that is very bright, but yeah, processed in a creative way that creates this nice texture. This one is really cool. This is like Pat's sound designed from nature recordings, right? And you can see I mapped that already, like in the same way. I created a macro effect. I configured all the sounds here so that you can, so there's wind, thunder, rain, and birdsong. And basically what they did is they recorded that, cleaned that up, and then they pushed the resonances of a certain pitch, let's say A. This was originally 440, right? So they found all the harmonics of A, boosted that with an EQ so that it becomes a tonality, and then you can play it as a pad actually. Right, but I love that for drones. Super nice shamanic drone, like jungle style, just like that. That's it, don't need more. Like that's a good beginning for a shamanic journey, just playing one note. And then when it gets higher, then oh, here we also get the light coat. Nice. The high one is also nice. Different vibe though, right? But it might make sense in some context to go high. So there's that one. And then there's another one also just somehow capturing the spirit of a forest in a nice way. You can dial that in a little bit here. I added some chorus. And yeah, that's also very specific. But I think it's beautiful. Again, you could play flute on top of you can do anything. It's just a beautiful backdrop. And also it's all like forest recordings, right? So it's just like the magic of the forest is right there. So that's really cool. And now we get to one. Oh my God, this guy is so generous. This is like insane. I would pay 50 bucks for that, but it's actually totally free. It's called the Spring Chimes. And here I have like a bunch of presets. It also comes with a bunch of presets. And I dialed it in a little bit, but it's incredible, right? So let's listen to the first one. That's the normal ensemble. You see, I pitch it down again an octave here. Oh, I like the low ones so much, I love when, and that thing would have to be ginormous. Like if you actually want to have a chime that plays that low, it needs to be ginormous, That's the cool thing with sample pitching. You still have the resonances and the harmonics, but that chime would have to be huge for it to sound like that. You see, I dialed the attack super up, right? Like, and originally it's probably like this, right? Ah, that's way too, can be nice sometimes. And the cool thing is it has round robins, which means on the same note, different samples are looping, right? So the cool sample people, they do round robins. They record the same sound a bunch of times and then they let it cycle through. So I play the same note, but it's always cycling through a different sample, which gives it a little bit more human touch. Right, so this guy, he worked like almost a year on it or something crazy. So but I like to increase the attack because I want it to fade in, right? Ah, that's way more gentle. Ooh. And each note sounds incredible. Like he has amazing microphones that he used. It sounds so rich. Yeah, I'm in love with all of it. Ooh. Right, so that's the first one. That's just the pure things. But then he's like, oh yeah, let's make it even cooler. Let's do some processing. So now it's called blooming. It's a preset. Sounds like this. So now you just hold one note, but you get some textures to it, right? Oh my God. So now it becomes alive. It's moving around your head, even the low ones, they sound so good. There's like such a good resolution on the recording. Dang. Yeah, that's probably like the most amazing one, like that is for free is crazy. Oof. Yeah, I could keep going on like this forever, and it doesn't stop here. There's even one more. So then there's this one called Rainfall. Right, this time I left all the brightness and the attack because, oh, so nice, especially in the higher ones. And the cool thing is, he was clever. He was actually mapping the modulation onto the mod wheel. So now I can actually use my pitch mod wheel here and actually, you know, change the intensity. So start like this, very gentle. And as I move it up, the slider, oh, it's opening up, you see? Okay, we get more movement, more brightness. There's a lot of things happening. So I can play expressively again. Can take out the intensity, bring it back. And then I go up. And then I bring it up. Ooh, we get more intense. Right, so I have, again, more control, more expressivity. I can interface with the push and bring my human aspect into the situation. Right? It's like a filter also, but it's also more than that. It's a tone knob, but it's also, see, there's more happening actually when the modulation goes up. So cool. And then there's also a pad, and he added, so because then he created a whole new interface for that, right? As if that was not enough, boom. Now we get that, and he has like 6 layers of different sounds that he processed and that we can then dial in. And again, I did the same process. I mapped everything here, right? Mapped it to the macro. So then I have this control over the pads, let's see. Right, so can dial in different layers and have like full. And can really modulate it. And those are all like chime sounds that he processed through different pedals and stuff like that. So you can be super subtle, just dial in a little bit, like lots of sound design options. Even in the low end, it sounds so good. Oh my God. This could just be a really nice pad in the background. Ooh. Yeah, so that was probably the highlight, but there's more cool stuff still coming. We have time, yeah. So this one is also really cool. It's from Dan Keane. He's also like a really cool composer and recording engineer, and he has created this amazing thing for free also. It's called Frozen Glock, which is a glockenspiel that has some kind of freeze effect. Right, especially you hear how it's like moving from left to right. And it's super sensitive, like super expressive, right? Wow, it sounds completely different depending on how I play it. Ooh, especially the lower ones, they're so gentle. Ooh, so warm, right? Oh my God. This is so cozy. And then you can go brighter, then go cozy again. And that's why I love the push, right? You have like 64 notes now, and you're all like in like pentatonic. major pentatonic. So delicious. Ooh. Yeah, one of my favorites also. It just sounds gorgeous because also, yeah, he has the most amazing microphones and he's really like he studied that shit. He knows what he's doing. So yeah, and then this one is also really cool, the large wind chimes. And here we introduce now finally my favorite free plugin ever. It's called Valhalla Supermassive. I also put that in the link. That's crazy how good that is and that this is free. You see, like there's different presets, like you can click on here and then you have echoes and then it's like different eras, time eras. And you can go reverbs and effects and stuff like that. You can just play around and see what it's doing. Sometimes it's a little bit obvious in the name, sometimes not. But like I had this preset here from the echoes called, what is it, 8-note? Yeah, Cyril's major quarter cluster. What was it? Where was it? Quarter note, yeah. Quarter note and then Cyril's major quarter cluster. So this is the preset now that I have on that wind chime thing. So first let's turn it off. This is how it looks, large wind chimes. Cool thing is you get 3 different mics. You can dial them in, but I like the setting the way it is right now. Super nice. You get all the octaves again. And that is super cool already as it is. But then with the Valhalla, turns into this. Right? Just one note is super cool. It becomes like this super cosmic ethereal. Oh, I can play 3 notes. Oof. Now this gives us a really nice ambient touch. And in general, for live sound journeys, I realized just one instrument is actually enough. Because then people can really go deep and you can be really with one thing and you just channel whatever is there. And especially with that setting, like can go high and down and everywhere. Right? So cool. Valhalla Supermassive, incredible effect. And then here we have a cool glass up, also really nice. Very distinct vibe. Right, again, just cool idea. Create an instrument out of glasses. A little different from a crystal ball, but similar concept. And then, yeah, the tuning, folks. Of course, what would be a sound healing setup without tuning, folks, right? So this one is Colin's Fox here. You need to he likes to be experimental, and he has distorted it and put some noise in there. I just have the pure tone. Dial the tone way back so that it sounds like this again, and I have large octave shimmer and Valhalla on top. So let's just take off the effects for now. Oh wait, we're still in the glass up. Right, so this. And with those, you actually get the healing frequencies, right? So if I play 128, right? Or I could do 144. That will be probably this one. Yeah. Nice. And that's cool. But then with the octave shimmer and the Valhalla, and what do we have here? This is reverse clouds of 8. Maybe that was Was it in looping? No. Verse 8th note. Here, 8th note is also like a really cool preset for anything ambient. And then it's reverse clouds of 8. Sounds like this now. And then listen to like how it's like moving around. Right? Yeah, super cool. Yeah, and this one is also incredible. Oh my God, cicada choir. Like, how cool is that? They actually, somebody recorded a cicada and yeah, turned it into a pad, and we have a little bit control over it. This is also fantastic. This is so cool. Oh my God. Right? Like, I mean, that's incredible. Like, if you want more cicadas, you can go on the low pass and put it higher, right? And if you don't want them, you just dial them back here. And the higher you go, the quicker, right? So here we are at the natural. Oh, so nice. Oh my God. You know, that for closing, when it's already night, like imagine you start for sunset or something like that. And then people like all like are laying down and it's night, the stars are out and you play that. Oh my God. And then the actual cicadas, if you're lucky, there's some there and they chime in. Yeah, that is so freaking cool. Yeah, so in love with that instrument. And then this is again just some orchestral stuff. Like for some reason, this reminded me of Star Wars. And I don't know, like that's also a specific vibe, but it sounds pretty cool. It's from the same guy, Dan Keen, who made the Frozen Glockenspiel. And he has a whole orchestra. Like he has everything. He has like cello, viola, violin, you know, winds, and then always those 4 layers. So if you're into orchestral stuff, his stuff is really cool. But for some reason, I never worked with brass so much. But I mean, it's kind of cool. Pretty majestic, right? There's maybe a space for that as well. So yeah, I just thought it sounds great, and why not? Like if you want to have some brass, there you go. And then this is funny. This is out of a Whirly tube. This is a little bit more eerie, but it's also cool like for drones and stuff like that. So, right? But yeah, if you want to open a portal, I think that's the instrument. Right? I mean, that's pretty cool. It's pretty ethereal, edgy, almost eerie, but I don't know. I love the resonances. Like it's a very unique sound and it's not unpleasant. Super cool. Okay, and we come to the last one again, some cicadas, but in a different way. This is the cicada synth. Gives you a little bit of layers, like 2 cicadas, 2 birds, and then you can tune them individually, which is pretty cool. And then you can add a chorus and a reverb and a filter as well. So let's see how that sounds. I think I like that more for drones, like a harmonium or something. Yeah, it's very spacey, the way that it's set up right now. With a large cathedral huge here. So without it, it'll just be like this. right? It's a little bit too intimate and too dry, but with a big space, especially if you just hold one note. It's a bit alien maybe, but I mean, cicadas, insects, they are definitely, not from the planet originally. So yeah, that's just if you want to go like insectoid, that's your synth. I mean, definitely trippy. Imagine you lay down there, and then you hear that sound all of a sudden. You have no idea it's coming from a cicada. Sweet. Yeah, so those are my favorites, and there's more, right? So that's the thing. Like you can always go to Pianobook, find more, just go decent sampler, sample packs, and then yeah, there's more to explore. And as I said, they update it like at least like once a month. You can check it out. See, this one is already new. That was not there yesterday. It's a new piano. Um, so you never run out of ideas, and I would challenge you for the training to, like create your own template just with that. So we're just gonna focus on that. And obviously, in the Q&A, I can show you some other things. But I think the cool thing is we have access to all of this, and then we have more or less the same tools. Obviously, we're gonna have like preferences, and again, find your own. Like, look again if you're looking for something specific that I didn't show you, maybe they have it. But yeah, I mean, with that, you see, like, there's 42 instruments. I could totally at least do, like, I mean, I could make an album with that. I could totally make a 2-hour sound journey, like super easy, maybe 6 hours if I take my time. So that's really all we need for the training pretty much is with this, like we're good, you know. So we will, keep looking at that. We will refining that. We will look at effects. We will look at like music theory hacks, and we will also look at certain journeys that I've created in terms of a certain intention, and how to work with that and all those things. But I think it's also good, like if we create the template, around a theme or something like that, or like, yeah, like have like organize it a little bit, right? Like have like the bowls and the flutes and the drones and all that stuff. So we will keep working with that. And yeah, I'm curious what's going to come out of it. Never used it in that way. So, but yeah, I think that gives you an idea. They don't need to spend any more money from now on. And you can just do super cool stuff because thank God there's people who just create this for free because they enjoy it and we can use it. And I love,
Stefan,
yeah.
question, just this template, did you just added the different tracks and then you just added the plugins into that and you named them? Is that kind of how you did it?
That's exactly how I did it. I started with one, right? The Luma acoustic guitars. Then I duplicated it. And then I went into Decent Sampler and I loaded a new preset from my library. And then it loaded that preset. And then I changed the name of it. And I just kept going. And it's really important that if you use the tuning, that for each one, at least once, you need to go to the tuning settings, you need to go to remap and then put in 432.081. And then you can make it Command G, an instrument rack, and then you can give it a name. And then you can save it, and then it already has the tuning saved in it as well. So then you don't need to do it again. But if you don't do it, every time you load it again, like the preset, it just goes back to 440. So you always need to check it, or you just create your own preset and then the 440 is in there. I think, let's test it actually. Let's see if the piano that I saved actually has the 440. I'll show me the browser. Yeah, Blissy. Okay, let's see. No, that's not it. Yeah, see? It's all spot on. So that's a cool thing. Like you just need to do it once and you save it as an instrument rack. And then it maintains the tuning settings. Yeah, okay. It's funny, right? Now my push is kind of normal again. It's like just decided to have a little freak out here. But yeah, I'm happy that it's good again. I thought I need to buy a new one because obviously you cannot play if the display is blinking all the time. Okay, guys. Yeah, thank you for bearing with me, showing you all those cool sounds. I'm curious, what you're gonna come up with, and I hope you enjoy exploring and downloading them. And in the next class, we will look at music theory hacks. So we will keep working with that, but I will show you first Ableton devices and then paid devices, but they're a good investment because you just have them once and they're not so expensive, but they do really cool things like ambient chord generators and things like that. If you want to, like, you can use them. I'm just going to show you what's there and then it's up to you what you use. I definitely use them, not for live, but for creating my templates that I turn from MIDI into audio, and sometimes I use that for playing live as well. And especially if you want to have something with chords and things like that, it's just really cool to use those tools. So I'm going to show that next time. Yeah. Have a blessed rest of your day. I'm curious how the recording is going to turn out. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I have a high resolution recording of the push that I could blend in. We shall see. Okay, thank you so much. See you next time.
Thank
Wait,
you,
I need
Stefan.
check the set. Okay, cool. Yeah.